We followed the Buckeye State and what's happening there. Ohio going through redistricting as well, but it's also one of the hottest races in the country right now. The Republican Senate race, as you see, features 4 candidates on your screen. Former President Donald Trump, though, shaking up the race this month by giving an endorsement to candidate JD Vance. He's the best-selling author of Hillbilly Elegy. JD Vance joining us live now on National Report. JD, thanks so much for taking the time. I want to start out with softball with you. You're leading in the polls right now. How are you feeling about your campaign?
Yeah, I feel really good, man. But at the end of the day, we have to sprint through the finish line. The election is not tomorrow. The election is not today. It's on Tuesday. And so, what we're telling all of our supporters is keep on doing the work because we are going to win, but we've got to do the work in order to do it.
Why do you think you got the endorsement from former President Trump? It seems to be a very powerful endorsement in previous political runs. Why do you think you received it?
Well, you're right. It's extremely powerful. And I think the president, what the corporate media never gives President Trump credit over is that he really believes in the things that he fought for during his 4 years as president, and hopefully his next 4 years as president, which is trade restriction on China, immigration, getting our southern border under control, not blundering us into any stupid additional wars. All these things the president really cares about. And I think he slowly saw over the course of the campaign that I was the guy who was actually fighting for that stuff, not just in slogans and talking points, not because a consultant gave me a script that I read, but because I actually believe this stuff as he does. And the president even said, so many of his biggest suspicions and his biggest problems when he was president was Republicans who would say nice things about him, but stab him in the back on the core agenda. And the core agenda is what he cares about, and so do I.
It's also this endorsement, as you know, opened up more attacks against you. PAC supporting your opponent, Josh Mandel, which we're going to get to in just a moment. But Mandel has a new ad out. I want to show this to you and allow you a chance to respond here. Here's a piece of it.
The elites were right about Donald Trump, right? I'm a never Trump guy.
And my PAC saying, quote, like some others, JD may have said some not so great things about me in the past, but he gets it now, and I have seen that in spades. And here is the statement that I just read to you. What is your response to that PAC putting that ad out?
Well, a couple of things. I mean, first of all, Josh Mandel is a rhino who was not exactly on board with Donald Trump early either, but he's trying to dredge up things I said 6 years ago when I've been very open about it. And I think it's fine to admit that you were wrong about somebody, to admit that you made a mistake. And of course, the president's been a great president. I'm proud to have his endorsement. The crazy thing about this is the same group that fought Trump the hardest, the Chamber of Commerce, the Club for Growth, which is running these ads in Ohio, they ran $10 million against Donald Trump in 2016. So now they're attacking me because I actually believe in the president's agenda, especially on trade. And really, I think this is a war for the soul of the party. On the one side, you have the Club for Growth, the Chamber of Commerce, and Josh Mandel. On the other side, you've got me and Donald Trump trying to be tough on China, change the Republican Party for the better. That's really the fight that we're having. And it's not surprising these people are coming after me.
But is that why you changed your mind on Trump, because of trade policies with China? Is that what made you do what I would call, or some would call, 180?
It's a big part of it. I think the main thing that changed my mind on Trump is I always liked a lot of the policies. I liked the tough on trade stuff, or the tough on China stuff from the very beginning. What really changed my mind on Trump is the incredible corruption that his presidency revealed. The FBI spying on a sitting president. And now you have the FBI going after parents who are protesting critical race theory. There was something about Trump's presidency that opened my eyes because so many powerful people tried to destroy him, tried to destroy his family. And at the end of the day, that corruption is part of what we have to fight against as congressional Republicans, assuming I win, which I think I will.
All right. Final question, and I'm going to let you go, I promise. Senator Ted Cruz recently backed your opponent, Mandel, as you well know. In fact, today I believe he's speaking in Kettering, which is a blue-collar city right outside of Dayton, Ohio. What does that mean in terms of this campaign, where you have a powerful Texas senator like Ted Cruz backing your opponent, you have former President Trump backing you? Do you see that as a divide in the party? Do you see that as a potential threat to your campaign?
No, I don't at all. Look, I have nothing against Ted Cruz, but we've also been endorsed by Josh Hawley. We've been endorsed by Donald Trump and Donald Trump Jr., Congressman Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Taylor Greene. We've got a lot of people who are stalwarts of the America First movement who are behind my campaign. I definitely take my endorsements against Josh Mandel's any day. But at the end, the main problem is not who's endorsing Mandel. The main problem is that he doesn't believe anything that he says. He's been running for office since he was 14 years old. That's the problem with Mandel, not the fact that Ted Cruz endorsed him.
All right, we'll leave it right there. JD Vance, and how can we find out more about your campaign, sir?
At jdvance.com for those who want to volunteer or support us. I'm on Twitter, Truth Social, all the social media. JD Vance for Senate on Facebook. Please follow us and please help us win May 3rd.
All right, good to see you, JD. Thanks so much. Enjoy your weekend.